A lot of people think that you need acres and acres of land or even a backyard to grow your own food. But today I'm going to share with you 5 ways that you can be growing food with a small space, even an apartment, a balcony, or say you're in van life. So the first way is this guy right behind me. This is an obelisk, and there is a very large lizard right there. But this is an obelisk or a vertical trellis. You can use tomato cages, you can use tomato towers, or something like this obelisk so that things can grow up. This is a corky stem passion vine. It's a native Florida plant. It's not technically used for food, it's mainly used for pollinators. But down here in the pot, there's food. So down here at the bottom of this pot where I have the corky stem passion vine growing up the obelisk, I also have down here some plants, specifically ginger and turmeric, which are edible. The ginger and turmeric are acting as a companion plant. They're a much smaller plant, they're shorter, they don't climb, so they're not really getting in the way of the native plant over here, that corky stem passion vine. They also need different things. The corky stem passion vine is used to our sandy soils, it really doesn't need much, where the ginger is going to require a little bit more nutrients. So all of that is happening in the pot together. This is an example of using your space so effectively. Now, another example would be using tomato plants. So say you had a tomato plant growing up in the middle of this obelisk. You could put things like green onions, basil, or radishes at the base of your tomato plants, and it will provide the shade that's necessary for these plants. It gives you more things to grow in the same amount of space. Another option for you are these things right here, and these are green stalk vertical planters. Now there's a lot of different kinds. I particularly like the green stalk, but there are other vertical planters out on the market that you can also get. The green stalks are outstanding because each one is about 2 square feet, and you can do them up to 5 tiers high. Each tier has 5 pockets, and you can grow a plant into each one of the pockets. So I'm using these green stalks behind me as herb garden. So I have all kinds of stuff from parsley to basil to catnip to lemon balm, sage, oregano, cranberry hibiscus, lemon balm, mint. I mean, your heart's content. You can grow so much. Oh, I almost forgot. Look at these chives. The chives are doing so well. And you can see how many plants you can grow in such a small space. These are great for balconies. Balconies tend to have this situation where you only have light a little bit of the time, or maybe it's starting to cast a lot of shadows. Well, these things are able to be rotated, so you can move them. They come on wheels or they come on spinner bases where you can rotate and move them so that they get the light that they need all around the full 360 of the planter. There's always the option of getting really inventive with your growing. So growing things in hanging baskets, like you can do strawberries in hanging baskets. Window boxes in your kitchen, you can grow all kinds of herbs that don't need a lot of space. There's pots that are ladders that fit very well on a patio or a balcony, or you can get really outside of the box and do something like I've done here. I wanted to grow a big plant, but I'm out of room in my regular annual garden. So I actually planted a Seminole pumpkin up a palm tree. What's cool about doing something like this is an annual plant. It's not gonna live forever. It's not a perennial, it's just a 1-season plant. So when this is done growing, it dies. I cut it down at the base, which the base is down into the ground, and then I just pull the leaves off. And the tree is exactly how it was before. So growing up fixed structures like trees or fences, sheds, you can even put a lattice up against your wall and grow up that way. You really don't need a lot of space in the backyard to grow even a large plant like this Seminole pumpkin. Another option that you can do if you absolutely have no area whatsoever to grow in is a community garden. Community gardens are really great. Even if you do have land to grow in, they are a great resource. So usually what a community garden is it's a place, somebody else's land, usually donated somehow to the community, or it's like a public place, and you can rent out a plot. Usually a plot is a bed. The sizes of the beds are different per community garden. A lot of places you sign up for a membership, and that membership is going to include like a yearly fee. The ones that I saw in my area ranged anywhere from $50 a year to $150 a year. So that's a pretty wide number, but we're talking about yearly, not monthly. And some of those community gardens, part of the membership was that you were going to come take a tour. They were going to show you all of the features and amenities and things that they had to offer there. They'll talk to you about the rules of how to keep your garden and, you know, how to not encroach on other people's spaces, those kinds of things. But some of them also require some volunteer hours. It is a community garden. So they are going to ask you to come and help out with the overall care of the garden. I don't know how often that is or how much work that is. So it's definitely something you're going to want to check out, especially during the tour. Those are the kind of questions you want to ask. Another cool thing about community gardens is that they have classes typically. They're going to have people there that are going to help educate you, teach you, especially if you're a beginner gardener, first-time gardener. They're going to teach you all the things you need to know about soil, watering, fertilizing, all the things. So great resource if you're interested in that. But let's say you have 0 community gardens in your area, you have no backyard space, no patio space, no hanging basket space, no windowsill space. I don't know, some apartments don't have windows on, you know, the sunnier sides. So what do you do in that case? Can you still grow food? Yeah, absolutely. The other option you have for growing when you absolutely have no more space is to grow from an indoor unit. This is an AeroGarden farm. This is a much larger one if you want to grow like a lot of plants. And then you have this little guy up here. This is an AeroGarden Harvest. This is a tabletop edition. I'm actually starting some tomato plants in here that will eventually make it out to the garden. But if you get dwarf or patio varieties, you can grow tomato plants in these little tabletop ones. You can grow tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, herbs. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can grow. Now, I wouldn't grow things like perennials, like strawberries, and I probably wouldn't grow root crops. I've heard some people can do little tiny radishes, but things like carrots, potatoes, obviously no, because it is water in here and they'll rot inside the water. But anything that's just a general plant with a regular root structure, bush beans, mini cucumbers, mini peppers, the little dwarf tomatoes. I have many different kinds of lettuces I've grown in here. You can grow things like basil, parsley, dill, any kind of annual herb. I wouldn't necessarily grow perennial herbs like oregano, lemon, mint, lemon balm, or mint, because they will kind of overtake the garden and you won't be able to grow anything else in it. You kind of want to cycle these through very quickly. If you're interested in any of the items that I showed you today, I am going to put them down into the description so that you can check them out. You can still grow a lot of food in a very small space. In fact, I grow all of our lettuce all summer long using just this guy right here. I hope you had fun learning about small space gardening today. Make sure that you give it a big thumbs up. Happy gardening, guys.